Hello and welcome to TPT Chats, our journey, your next step. I'm Annette from Count on Coop, and I create resources for TPT, and I also help other teachers create their own resources for their own stores. And this is
I am Malia, and I help teachers start and grow their profitable TPT stores so they can share their resources with teachers around the world and make some money doing it.
today. We are talking about something that is very important to TPT when you have busy lives, and we're talking about time-saving things that we do to help streamline our process and make this TPT and busy life work for us. So let's start with some time-saving tips. What do you do to save time, make it easier for yourself? What are you thinking?
So I am 100% templates. Like if I don't have a template, I dread it and I almost don't do it because I know it's going to take me so much longer. But if you're just starting out, spend the time to make the template. Making the template, though it may take you a couple hours, it may take you a few days, like several work sessions to like make it how you want. Spend that time doing it, save it as a template, and just duplicate it, make it the next one, and keep doing it over and over again. I have templates for everything. It's great.
I agree. One thing I will say with templates, like you said, take the time to make your own template. I think that's important. Yes, you can download templates, but if you download
Mhm.
somebody else's template, it tends to look like other things that are on TPT. So,
Yes.
I like to think when I'm making a template or making a new resource, I like to think, how might this work for five different resources or a resource that, I can do for every month or multiple topics. And then think it through because you're right. It might take you a couple hours to create that template at the beginning, but then reusing that saves so much time for you in the future and creates unique products to you.
Yeah. I also feel like I've come across like we both use PowerPoint for everything in this process, whether it's creating the resource or creating like the cover, thumbnail, preview, all that stuff. But I feel like you then find a lot of little tips and tricks within your like product creation, whether it's just a keyboard shortcut. I feel like I didn't realize how much of a shortcut that really was compared to like finding the button and right clicking, finding the right drop down menu, the right thing I need, or the right size for things. Having that all done for you in a template and then using the keyboard shortcut, I mean, it definitely saves you tons of time in the long run of things.
You're speaking my language with the keyboard shortcuts. I am, when I'm creating a resource, I'm using all of the keyboard shortcuts. I am using all of the tips within PowerPoint in order to make it easier, right? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, even putting a circle on a page. How do you make sure that it stays a perfect circle, right? There's a shortcut for that, right? There's shortcuts for making your things aligned and making it look professional, because that's another thing that you want it to do. And using those shortcuts and using those PowerPoint tips, which I have a lot of, is really going to be a game changer in terms of creating those templates and making sure that they look
Hmm.
not only professional, but also can be used for lots of different resources for sure.
Yeah. Um, so I would say with the templates also, I like what you said before about spending the time to create your own versus
Mhm.
downloading one that someone has made. I don't know about you, but I feel like when I go to TPT and I see resources as I'm searching, I'm like, oh, oh, it's not that person's resource. That was their template that they sold to others, and now everybody's kind of looks the same. Obviously, the material is very different, but it's down to like the exact outline of everything. So it's like, oh, I wonder if, what's new. And I like to
Mhm.
see what's new and what new resources people create. But then it kind of makes me sad when they make a template because I'm like, oh, that was so cool for them. And now everyone's going to be doing it. It was like
Mhm.
I don't know. It's kind of like when people hop on trends of things, like digital was a huge trend. Making pixel art, I hopped on that very quickly, and everyone's
Mhm.
using the same pictures, It's like, oh, darn, okay, I gotta be creative and do something else so you stand out more, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like the templates are helpful, but you want to make them unique to you. And I feel like that's a very important thing to stress when using templates. It's a template you made for yourself to help you
I
save
mean, we're
time.
going. We're all over the place today. We're like, templates really important, be creative. But I feel like that's so
Mhm.
important because that's how I stood out on TPT, I feel like, is
Yeah.
creating something that wasn't there yet, and you set yourself apart in that way. So that's good.
Yeah, definitely. So when you are like when you're creating a product in PowerPoint, how
Yeah.
do you like keep going and save time within PowerPoint creating that product? Because I feel like you've got this down pretty well. I mean, you make math resources for grades second through seventh, and sometimes you're like, "Oh, I finished." I'm like, "Wow, I barely finished one resource." So you clearly have some time saving tips to share with us. So care to share? Give us some
Yeah.
insight.
Well, number one is I always have like a pad out ready for like my
Mhm.
creative ideas. And once I have a vision, I use ChatGPT to help me. I don't know if that's a thing that people like to do or not. I don't take their ideas, right? But it helps me hone my idea. I feel like the more you put into ChatGPT and like kind of tell it what you want, I'm very thematic. That's like my
Mhm.
story is very like seasonal or like specific to a specific basketball or something like that. And it helps me refine taking the standard and like making it thematic, which is kind of tricky to do, like create word problems that are basketball themed that relate to ratios, like
Right.
very specific kind of topics. And it helps me brainstorm those ideas. So that's helpful for product creation. I don't even know what the question you asked me. I just went on a chat GPT journey.
Well,
Sorry.
that's okay. I mean, ChatGPT, that could be a time-saving thing. I mean,
PowerPoint. You were asking about PowerPoint. And I went ChatGPT.
right.
Sorry. So
That's okay.
anyway, so I used my ChatGPT, kind of helped me brainstorm my creative ideas, and then PowerPoint. In terms of PowerPoint, I have shortcuts for duplicating slides. So you have something that you've already created, you're going to duplicate that slide, making sure that all of the pieces of the puzzle are aligned. Tables are really helpful for making sure that like things are spaced out evenly. I use it for all
Hmm.
of my color coding
Oh,
parts,
yeah.
um,
Can I
where
tell you
it's
that
like,
I didn't know
Mhm.
about the align or distribute tool for a very like unprofessional amount of time, I feel like.
Hmm.
That I was spending time making number lines and putting the little dashes on the line and like moving them ever so slightly using those red lines that pop up on PowerPoint. I don't know why I was not thinking that there was probably an easier way to do that.
There's an easier way to do everything. I'm telling you. Everything. It's mind-blowing. Like merging shapes together to create new clip art, like so many things. Anyway, I'm gonna put up a little plug in here. I have three PowerPoint mistakes that many TPT sellers make and how to fix them. So if you want to check that out, there's a short video that I can help you create your PowerPoint resources faster, better, and looking more professional. But going back to it, there is a PowerPoint tip for almost everything, which is why I prefer PowerPoint over all of the other platforms.
Oh, totally agree. I mean, you showed me the merge tool to create images and like new shapes and stuff that weren't already in PowerPoint, and I couldn't find like the right clip art that I wanted. And I was like, whoa, I just made like this very professional looking, I don't know, whatever image. I've used it so many times I can't even remember, but
For your
it's
tessellations,
incredible.
you've used it a lot for your
Yes. Yeah.
tessellations. Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. It's awesome. And then you
Mhm.
don't have to like worry about, okay, is this copyright? Is this not? So doing it yourself and also saving time and a little money too on doing that. So awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. Um, so you use ChatGPT, you use PowerPoint. Actually, for TPT, I don't think a lot of people know this, but you can actually pretty much duplicate a product listing. So that way you're not starting from scratch and every little thing is blank. So I do this when I'm creating like a product line. Like right now, I have a set of circuit worksheets where the listing is basically the same. It's just swapping out the file and it's changing the title and then like tweaking the description because they're all the same. It's just a different topic, right? So when I do this, if you actually go to like your product listings page in TPT, and then I usually select whatever the most recent circuit worksheet is, for example, as long as it's similar to what you're posting now, you can absolutely do this. If you click on like quick edit for that product, a little menu will appear. And right below the cover image, there is a button that says create similar listing. And you click it and it duplicates the whole thing and it takes out the resource, but it leaves the title and it leaves the description. It leaves all the grade levels and all those things that you have to check at the end. It leaves them all there. So you're not like, oh, did I do this? Did I do this right? You're just tweaking. You're not
It
changing it
also leaves
entirely.
it also leaves custom categories, which is because I
Yes.
always forget to tweak that. And when you do that, it's a game changer because otherwise you're like copying pasting everything over and you miss something and it's like it's already there for you. You just have to
Hmm.
add in the actual resource, change the topic maybe. Yeah, huge time saver, huge time
Yeah.
saver.
I struggle with writing descriptions all the time, and I'm not a ready, writing person. So
Mhm.
having that just duplicate where I can just change out the topics, change out the standards, change out what's included, and leave everything there, especially like the little reminders at the end of like, hey, don't forget to follow my store, or, leave a review to get TPT credits. I don't have to remember to add those every single time. So that is, I think, my number one TPT time saving tip is just use the create similar listing button for sure.
Okay, let's just summarize a little bit about time saving tips because I know I went on a tangent, so I apologize for that. But my time saving tips are definitely using shortcuts in PowerPoint, using the templates that you've created, unique templates for yourself to create more than one resource using that, and using ChatGPT not to create your resource, but to help
Hmm.
you brainstorm ideas is what I use ChatGPT for. And your time saving tips are
I mean, in addition to what you've
similar.
talked about, yeah, very
Similar.
similar, very similar. But for TPT, my number one is probably using that Create a Silver listing tool. I also use like Seller Spy and Google and TPT search bar to create titles. That way, I'm not like, huh, I think this sounds good for a title. Like I'm actually doing the research and saving my time. Maybe not necessarily now with the listing, but saving myself time and like 6 months to a year from now where I'm like, oh, that is not a good title. I need to redo that whole entire thing. So now I'm putting in the work now to do that research to save my time later. I think it's definitely worth doing that for sure.
Great. This has been Time Saving Tips with Annette and Malia on TPT Chats.